Sometimes I wonder if I was born in the wrong time. I'll be riding through the hills or beneath a canopy of trees older than anything I've ever owned, and I'll feel something swell inside me. A kind of ache, but also a sense of peace. And in that moment, I can't help but ask myself, why do I care this much? Why does the air smell sacred? Why does the wind feel like a warm memory? Why do I mourn a forest I've never seen fall, or a glacier that I'll never touch? Then one day, I realised I was asking the wrong question. It wasn't, why do I care? It was, why doesn't everyone else? How did we become so lost and so numb to the living world that made us? We've built walls between ourselves and the wild, not just of steel and concrete and brick, but of ignorance, forgetting the names of trees, the keen sting of a nettle, the feel of warm soil in your hands. When you forget something long enough, you stop looking for it. You stop caring that it's gone. But I believe it's still in us. This instinct to belong to the land. This pull toward the quiet. This ache for something that we used to know. So this isn't a lecture. This isn't about guilt. It's an invitation to remember and to feel, and to begin asking, what happened to our bond with the earth? And more importantly, how do we find our way back home?
There's something that happens when you begin to spend more time outside. You start to remember things that you didn't even know you've forgotten. The way the air feels after a storm, or the sound of the wind running through some tall grass, the way the birds go quiet just before sunset.
These aren't just pretty details. They're innate and ancient knowledge. Stuff our ancestors carried like instinct. For most of human history, we were in a constant conversation with the land. The sky told us when to plant, the birds told us where water was. Nature was our calendar, our pharmacy, and our teacher.
Look at this. We used to live with all of this, and now we just live on top of it. And I think the more we've isolated ourselves, the more we've forgotten just how much we need it. I think along the way what we've done is mistaken convenience for progress. And it's not that people don't care. It's that people haven't been taught how to see it.
Most people today grew up without that connection. One study found that most children in the UK could name more Pokemon than local wildlife species. And another found that 80% of people now live under light polluted skies, and many will never see the Milky Way. We've forgotten what it means to look up, and it's not because those people are bad or selfish, it's because our entire system is built to separate us from the wild. We're raised in boxes, taught in boxes, and entertained by boxes. There's no room in that world for those bird calls, and when you don't grow up with nature, you don't realise that it's a part of your story that's missing.
it usually takes an awakening, and for some of you watching, that may well be or have been riding a motorcycle.
But here's the thing, that connection isn't gone. It's still in us. Beneath the noise, beneath the asphalt, there's still a part of us that remembers. And when you go quiet, when you pay attention, it comes back.
Even just noticing, and I mean really noticing the world around you, can be enough. It doesn't take a wilderness survival course. It doesn't take years of training. All it takes is the presence of mind to stop, look and listen.
We were never meant to forget the world that made us, but we did. It's easy to blame individuals for not caring, but the truth is we were all born into this system that trains us to be disconnected. We've spent the last couple hundred years reshaping the world to be more efficient, more comfortable, more controlled. And in doing that, we've pushed nature to the edges, physically and mentally.
In 1800, only 3% of the world's population lived in cities. Today, that's closer to 56%, and that number is only going up.
By 2050, that number is projected to hit 70%.
We built cities to make life easier, but along the way we somehow made nature optional. Like, you can go days, weeks, even months without actually feeling the grass under your feet or the dirt on your fingernails. And we don't think that's weird. I think that's weird. We were never designed to live in boxes stacked on one on top of the other.
And it's not just where we live, it's how we live. The average adult in the US now spends over 11 hours a day interacting with screens. That's more time than we sleep. Meanwhile, the average child in the UK spends less than 1 hour a day outside, less time than a prisoner is guaranteed.
It's no wonder so many people feel ungrounded and anxious and disconnected, because we evolved to move through the land. We evolved to live with it. When we lose that, something inside of us goes quiet. Or in my case, it starts screaming.
Even our education system reflects this disconnect. Most kids can name dozens of tech brands and cartoon characters, but struggle to name 5 local trees or birds. In one study, over 80% of British children couldn't identify a bumblebee or an oak leaf. And this is the crux of the issue. You can't care about what you don't know, and you won't protect what you don't recognise. That line hits, doesn't it? Because it's not just dramatic, it's true. We're pushing down into this mess we've made while pretending not to see it. And the cost of that disconnect isn't just ecological, it's personal, emotional, and cultural. When we stopped seeing ourselves as a part of nature, we stopped feeling responsible for it. That shift in thinking, it gave us permission to treat the natural world like a warehouse or a dumping ground, something to extract from, build over and discard. In fact, in some parts of the ocean, plastic now outweighs fish.
We used to understand that our survival depended on the land and the seas and the skies. Now, far too many people see those things as scenery, optional and wholly replaceable. Since 1970, global wildlife populations have collapsed by 70%. And that's not hyperbole. That's a real, measurable thing that is happening right now. You know, you ride through a forest or beside a quiet lake, and you have to wonder, or at least I wonder, how many people still think about these places. And even those who come to them, how many of them just ride through and look at the scenery like it's wallpaper without actually considering what it is. I feel like they don't see it the same way that some of the rest of us do. And I'm not sure if they feel the loss the same way.
This connection isn't just about what we've done, it's about what we've forgotten. We've forgotten the names of plants, the songs of birds, the feel of real dirt beneath our feet. And when we forget something, we stop caring about it. And how can we protect what we no longer even notice? But here's the thing, it's hurting us too. We weren't built for concrete and screens, and we're starting to see the effects. Anxiety, loneliness, burnout, depression are all on the rise in almost every modern society. Yet time in nature literally heals us. Research shows that it can reduce stress hormones, lower heart rate, and even improve focus and empathy. We have doctors literally prescribing time in nature, and yet we still spend 90% of our time as a species indoors.
When I'm out here riding in the middle of nowhere, or as close as you can get to it in the UK, with no phone signal, no noise, no nothing, this is when I feel human again. I feel more connected. And I also have to wonder how many people go through their entire lives without that feeling. Because I bet the percentage is a very saddening number.
When we lose the wild, we don't just lose the lungs of the planet, or the bees that pollinate our food, or any number of other admittedly true cliches. We lose our sense of scale, our sense of place. We lose the mirror that reminds us who we really are. The truth is, without nature, we're not just lost, we are less. But this isn't about blaming people. If anything, it's about understanding that this disconnect was never really our choice. We were raised in a world that forgot what the earth is for, beyond extraction and entertainment. But now that we see it, we can choose something different. We can choose to relearn, to pay attention, to show up again, not as masters of the land, but as guardians. You may have noticed that's the second Gojira quote that I've used in this video. Earlier we saw a line from Periphery. And it's not just because I like heavy music. I mean, I do, but that's beside the point. It's because these artists and many others are crying out for something we've all been missing. A sense of place, of grounding and of connection. And they're not alone. Musicians like Aurora channel something ancient and alive. Her music often sounds like it's being sung straight from the soil. Artists like Narco speak of ancestry, ecology, healing. Even huge acts like Billie Eilish are using their platforms to talk about climate grief, environmental collapse, and the weight of it all. And this kind of art matters because it shapes culture, and culture is what moves people.
Can't exactly quote a metal song at a petrol station and expect someone to recognise it, but maybe, just maybe, someone will resonate with it.
Once we start noticing the earth in our art and in our lyrics and in our stories, we start remembering. And when we remember, we begin to care. That's the first step toward reconnection, real reconnection, not just with the land, but with ourselves.
Across the world, people are rediscovering how to be a part of nature, not apart from it. They're joining wildlife rescues, starting pollinator gardens, helping with beach cleanups, water sampling, and bird counts.
It's called citizen science, and it's growing. Platforms like iNaturalist have turned everyday people into ecological detectives. If you've got a smartphone and some curiosity, you can help protect endangered species, track invasive ones, and map the changing seasons. And this kind of work isn't just useful, it's healing.
Now, I didn't start this channel to preach. I just wanted to ride around, see the country, eventually the world, and take you guys along for the ride with me and experience some of the incredible shit that's out there. But as I have done this more and more, it's become, I mean, it's still a hobby, but it's more than that. This is my homeostasis. I'm not going to say, you know, riding is my therapy, because I believe if you need therapy, you should go and get professional help. But this is how I rebalance, you know? And it's becoming more and more necessary. Sometimes I wonder if reconnection isn't about nature at all, and is in fact about becoming human again. Out here, there's no algorithm, there's no notifications. There's just birdsong, trees, wind, rain, the lot. And so maybe that's where it starts. Not with a movement, not with a protest, but with you. Going out for a walk, going out for a ride, and experiencing this phenomenal world we live in.
Reconnection is a choice, one that each of us can make again and again in small and meaningful ways. Because the earth doesn't need us to save it, it needs us to come home again. By now, the scale of the problem might feel overwhelming. Melting glaciers, plastic oceans, disappearing species. It's heavy. It's too heavy if we try to carry it all at once.
But here's the thing. You don't have to fix everything. You just have to care enough to do something. Maybe it's planting native wildflowers on a balcony, or taking 5 minutes to log a bird sighting, or just learning the name of a tree that grows near your house. None of it's wasted, and none of it's too small. Now, I used to think, what can I do really? Like one idiot against the world. What impact can I make? But the reality is, anything you can do is helpful. Anything, no matter how small, you are doing something.
Because small actions add up, not just practically, but emotionally. Picking up a bottle off the side of the road doesn't save the planet, but it reminds you that you can reach out and change something, that the world is still listening. And when you do it in public, people see it. Maybe they scoff, maybe they don't notice, but maybe someone else sees it and something sticks. Change spreads, quietly but confidently, like a powerful moss.
Sometimes I pull over just to look at the trees. Look at the trees. Look at the plants, you know, see if I can find something new. Look at the clouds, if there was any. It's a gorgeous day today. But it's as easy as that, it really is. And not a lot of people do that, but the point is, you can. It's easy.
The natural world is full of systems built on cooperation. Tiny interactions, tiny efforts, and tiny acts of balance. One bee pollinates a flower. One mycelial thread links to another. A forest isn't made in a day. It's grown, bit by bit. So why should we be any different? You're not too small. You are part of this. The more we show up, even imperfectly, the more we prove that we care what still lives here. That respect still exists, that this world still has people who are paying attention. This journey started with a question. Why aren't more people connected to nature anymore? I don't have all the answers, but I know where to go to ask the questions.
And that's here, out here, on the road. I don't drive a car, I don't own a car. I've never needed one. I have no dependents, and this is why I ride the bike. They're powerful enough to cross continents and raw enough to feel every inch of it. The heat off the tarmac, the temperature drop as you go into a valley, the smell of terpenes hitting you as you enter a pine forest, the dirt up your nose, all of it. You just don't get that with a car.
You notice things on a motorcycle. How the land shifts under the sky, or how a place smells different after rain. How light moves through trees at different times of day. You're not just passing through, you're in it. And once you've felt that, it's really hard to forget. Out here, amongst these trees, I feel small, but I feel rightly sized. You know, we are not in control of this. We are not masters of the planet. We're just a part of it. And our size, it tracks. And I think that's something we're all missing. The Earth isn't just something we live on, it's something we live with. And I think deep down, a lot of us are still searching for that sense of belonging, that quiet understanding that we're not separate, we're a part of the pattern. Now this whole project, it's not about being perfect, it's not about preaching, it's simply about remembering. It's about reminding myself, reminding you that connection is still possible and we can still find our way back home. We don't need everyone to become an environmental scientist, but we do need everyone to care, to remember that we are a part of this world. We're not separate from it. This Earth, this planet doesn't need saving. She can look after herself. But we do. And if we all band together, it's still possible.